Has Ghana always had fuel generation issues?
In this country, we have suffered intermittent electricity outages, a period between 5 and 10.
So, if you have been following our channel for some time now, you will surely remember this. The country is still experiencing a number of problems. And the two major problems the country is facing, according to our comment section, are 1. Doom so, which means energy crisis, and 2. Galamsey, which also means illegal small-scale mining. But now all these ministers responsible for these problems have come out to defend themselves. The illegal mining is an issue involving two ministries, which is lands and the security. And of course, both the Minister for Defense and Minister for Lands has been updating us each and every week based on their operations. And now the minister responsible for energy, Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh, has also come out to update us on the doomso going on in the country. So let's go and listen to what he has for us. Honorable, thank you very much for joining us. Please, can you tell us about the overview of power sector value chain in Ghana?
It really starts from the generator, but the generator should have its fuel. And since generators don't produce the fuel themselves, they'll have to buy the fuel from somebody. So that person brings the fuel to you, you use the fuel to generate the electricity, you need to transmit the electricity from your generator to the consumer. There are agencies or service agencies that will transmit it to the big bulk supply points and the transmitters, because they generate at very high voltages in transmission. To send enough power to, say, a region, you need to transmit at high voltages, which is normally in Ghana here, 161,000 volts. We have to think about our normal electricity in our home that we are all scared of is 240 volts. But transmitting from the generator to the distributor goes through wires that will concentrate it to up to 161,000. Some do have 330, which we are trying to modify, change our transmission network in the country. But yes, some do go 400 and 500,000 volts to transmit. The more higher you can transmit, the more efficient that transmission is. Okay, so when you get from the transmitting point of view, you have to bring the voltages down to be able to distribute. So you bring it to the ECG substation, it gets to about 40, 50, 60 kilowatts, and then you move it from the station through 11 kilowatt probably voltage lines, distribution lines, and you see there's some small transformers on poles around people's houses. It brings it further down before what you get into your house is a 200 volt.
What could go wrong with this value chain?
The first issue is the fuel. The second issue is with generation. The third issue is with transmission. The fourth issue is with distribution. And the fifth issue is with the consumers.
Okay.
We are sometimes used to consuming by not paying, but somebody always has to pay.
Has Ghana always had fuel generation issues?
In this country, we have suffered intermittent electricity outages, a period between 5 and 7 years. There's most times either a drought or shortage of generation. It's been cyclical for us. Beginning 2012, we started noticing power shortages. But by the time we got to 2013, because of the huge debts that had accumulated after the 2012 election, government found it difficult paying for fuel for generators. And consider that our electricity usage is increasing about between 5 and 7%. More people were using electricity, but we couldn't generate enough. So a combination of lack of money to pay the fuel suppliers and a generational deficit led to what we would term doomso. Doomso in the sense that it was nationwide. The power outage that came, unlike the one we have just seen by ECG, it was for the whole country. It started with 12-hour on, 12-hour off, and it got to 36-hour off, 12-hour on. So it got increasingly worse. And that is what we, in the period between 2013 and 2017, January, we suffered do so for that 4-year period.
Honorable, tell us more about generation mix in Ghana.
Currently, we generate mainly from Akosombo and thermal producers. Thermal producers are either from VRA itself, Akosombo belongs to VRA, from VRA itself or from other independent power producers like Car Power, Sen Power, Senet, Asodi Asogli. They all produce what we call generate to supply through the transmission system. We have We Power too that came on and was supplying a bit. But generally, with the hydro, is very, very cheap if you get the water.
Okay.
But the hydro and load that we have in the country, which is about 1,400, 1,500, is not enough for us. So that's why we have the generators. And as soon as you go to the thermal generators, somebody has to pay for the fuel. So even though by the time we got to early 2012, we had enough generators, the ability was the ability to pay the generators to generate. And then, because we are increasing our usage, we outstripped the ability of the generators to supply. And so we had to then quickly, because the DOSO was at its peak in that period, we definitely had to sign on more generators. So some generators came on ships, some came with the Mary modular form to come and assemble like a Mary. Car Power was on ship. AXA came quickly with this system, with these modules to come and deploy. So some were quick to deploy, but all depended upon your ability to pay them. Most of the generators, thermal generators at that time, were either reliant on RFO, HFO, LCO, or diesel, which is even more expensive fuels. So they were using very expensive fuels in generation, which means the cost of generation was higher than if you have used something like gas, or if you have used a supplemental generation point like solar to supplement what you are doing. So gas is the cheapest probably that we can find apart from the hydro, but we didn't have that. We have had to convert most of the plants to either dual fuel before we did that. Initially, some of them that could use gas, there was no gas available. Now our gas came on stream and we have lots of gas. So we've converted most of our generators, thermal generators, to gas-fired thermal.
So how can Ghana fix this?
We intend moving a Mary power plant to Kumasi. That will fix the voltage situation and the stability of the transmission lines and the transmissions in the Ashanti, not only Ashanti, and the northern part of the country. What was helping was Bui, which was counterbalancing. Bui, because of drought or because water has not flowed, because our investigation tells us that the Burkina Bees have put a dam somewhere higher up, Bui, to all intents and purposes, is probably doing 90 megawatts. Instead of 400. And even the 90 megawatts is doing it between peak hours, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. In fact, there's a danger because we are lower than the lower limit of the dam. The water level is lower than the lower limit. So our ability to use severely being constrained daily by even drafting more water. So we have to look at it. So we is not doing the counterbalancing for us. So the middle part of the country, the northern part of the country, is suffering severe voltage issues and stability issues. There are 3 things we could do, but ultimately is to put a generator aside. Second thing, we were moving from 161 kVA transmission lines at 161,000. Always remember that your house is 240. We are moving from 161 to 330. We've built from the west or south to Kumasi. We built from Kintampo to Bolgatanga. Kumasi to Kintampo. We hope that by the 3rd quarter of this year, it will be done. So when we move Aberi, when we bypass Kumasi with a huge transmission line, then the stability and the voltages become better in Kumasi.
After all these things have been fixed, will Ghanaians pay more or less?
Ghana is one of the few countries where the more you consume, the more you pay. That model is also for scarcity times. Not when we have even more generation and people are willing to consume. So, example, what is happening in the PRC now in their tariff calculation? They say that if you consume, example, 0 to 100, every 1 unit is 1 cedi. 101 to 200, every unit is 2 cedis. 201 to 300, every unit is 3 cedis. What's the point? If me and you drive a 4-wheel drive, I drive a Tico. What are we going to say at the fuel dump to buy fuel? When my fuel engine is, tank is full, it takes 10 liters. If a liter is 1 cedi, I'll pay 10 cedis and go away. If yours take 100 liters, they will say after 10 cedis, 11 to 20, 2 cedis, 21 to 30, 3 cedis. That is what the electricity is. So if you have a small-sized industry, like a hotel, you pay 2 cedis over 2 cedis per kilowatt. It is so unfair, very, very aggressive. So we discussing with PRC, our stakeholders, that they should start merging, if nothing, the upper bands. It is going to simulate or stimulate industry. And don't remember, they employ people. The service industries employ a lot of people. So when you kill them through electricity tariffs, you are destroying your jobs. So those who say fix it, they should join government in ensuring that PRC tariffs is also made fair.
All right, Honorable, our last question before we leave you. Ghanaian youths are calling on your government to fix the country. And what is your response on this fix the country hashtag trend?
I think it's a phrase that has caught up because that's what government is doing. It's like telling me what I'm doing. I want somebody to come and tell me that we are not fixing the energy issues. I'm prepared to stand to a debate anywhere and say for the work that we are doing, that is what an expectant, level-minded, objective citizen should require of his government. I'm having transmission charges. What are you doing? And can you account to me? And I'll say, yes, this is what I'm doing, and I can account to you. Government will continue to fix the problem of Ghanaians. And I think that my government will do it the best.
Thank you very much for watching. My name always remains Sheriff Haruna. On Instagram, I am Sheriff the African. See you in our next video. Bye-bye for today. Peace.